What's up, Sacramento? Happy New Year. Let's talk about what happened in the real estate market in 2024. Stick around to the end and I'll share some details about what we expect to see in 2025. Overall, the 2024 market was good. It wasn't great, but it was good. Sales started to pick up despite perceived higher interest rates. A lot more homes came on the market this year after several years of literally nothing moving. We all saw that, right? We saw prices increase 5%. We saw the number of homes sold go up almost 20%, 19.9%. That's pretty cool. But wait, you heard prices were dropping. That certainly was the headline that a lot of media outlets hung on to this year. But remember, bad news sells. It's kind of true, but not really. The average price dropped 6.5%, average active price dropped 6.5% this year. And what does that mean? That means that there was a whole bunch of sellers who didn't listen to their real estate professional. You know who you are. And because you knew better than anybody else what your home's value was, right? And you ended up overpricing your home. That's all it is. You overpriced it from where the reality was. So those price drops that you're seeing were an actual market drop. They were a reset to reality. They were dropping from unrealistic make me move prices back down to something real. New homes was definitely where it was at in 2024. We know a little bit about that because that's the majority of our business. We're also the #1 awarded new home brokerage in Northern California. So check out Next New Homes Group. I've got some of their information over my shoulder here. And that'll give you all the details of our new home communities. But 2024 saw the 7th best sales year in history, with just under 7,000 homes sold. That's only bested by 2 other markets in the last decade, and that was 2020 and 2021, and we all know how weird and crazy that was. So, but yeah, that's only better than two other years in the last decade. So that's pretty good. We had a pretty good year in spite of all of the weirdness and all of the just kind of malaise that felt like it was kind of a weird year, but it ended up being a pretty good year. You know, new home builders really bridged that gap to affordability, and they spent most of the year giving incentives for buy downs, closing costs, all sorts of incentives were really the norm for most of 2024 in the new home space. I would expect that to also continue into the 2025 space, although at a little bit less pace this year than last year. The overall sales for new homes was up about 8%, so it's a pretty good jump in the overall market. You know, we've definitely come off the craziness of 2020, but we are seeing tempered growth since then, and I think we will definitely see that continuing, and I'll talk about that at the end of the video a little bit more. But honestly, I think we would have had a really overheated market had rates not run back up to normal levels. You know, we're seeing rates in that high 6, maybe low 7s. We saw them floating around the mid 6s most of the year. I think we would have had a significantly overheated market where we would have overbuilt and we would have had crazy price increases. The rates increasing tempered that. So that means something very, very good for the Sacramento market. That means we have longevity. That means this continues at a moderate pace going forward. And again, I'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But, you know, we saw overall, you know, the purchase, you know, it's tougher to purchase a home in Sacramento this year. We're still relatively affordable to other California markets, and that's where the strength and happiness in the real estate market exists in Sacramento. So what's ahead for 2025? According to Fannie Mae, consumer sentiment for housing was up 5.9 points from a year ago. People are cautiously optimistic, but that sentiment varies widely across the country. Always remember, real estate is local. Ignore the national headlines. I tell people this all the time. Ignore the national headlines. I would expect us to enter into a slight recession going into probably somewhere in the next 9 to 18 months. You know, I don't really see it being a housing recession, but the previous administration has just caused way too much havoc in our economic markets, and there's way too much damage for us not to go into a recession in the short term. I don't see that being a big deal. We just have to pull back on consumer prices to get that back into a normal level. Totally normal. We always have recessions after run-ups. Not a big deal at all. We're just going to reset some of the consumer prices, but I definitely don't see it really hitting our housing market, especially for Sacramento, given our strength of the Sacramento market. There's a lot of wild cards that are going to affect this, and we have no clear picture on how the new administration is going to handle fixing some of these economic damages that were caused. So we're just going to have to wait and see, and we're going to see how this plays out over the next year or so. But I think we'll definitely see some moderation going into this year. Mortgage rates are expected to ease going into this year. We're in that high 6s kind of range right now, low 7s for some people. Overall consensus between Fannie Mae and the Mortgage Bankers Association is somewhere in the 6.4 to 6.2% range, but that's not until all the way at the end of this year. And they're not expecting to see that 6% mark until the end of 2026. So that's a long way to wait. So if you're one of those people that have been kind of waiting on rates to drop to make your purchase, remember, rates dropping is an inverse relationship to housing going up, right? Because if rates drop, that more people come back into the market, housing prices go up. We are definitely expected to see probably a pretty moderate market this year with price increases, but not anything significant. As rates ease, more people enter back into the market, it starts to get busier. But given rates and the current supply and demand for Sacramento, I would expect prices to probably rise similarly to 2024 in that 4 to 6% range. But if you're waiting on that rate to drop, you're going to miss out on that equity, on that savings that you think you're going to have waiting for that rate. So if you're ready, willing, and able to buy, now is definitely the time to buy. Buy it when you are ready, willing, and able. Don't wait for that magic time of either the price or the rate. You're going to miss out on a lot. And I will talk in another video on all the money that people missed out on this year by waiting. So check out that on our social media and on YouTube. Guys, our job is to help you move up in life. Let Next help you get from where you are to where you want to be. I'm Christopher Brown with Next Real Estate Group and Next New Homes Group. Please like and share this video. Comment below. I would love to hear what you guys are seeing for 2025 and what you expect to see and what your plans are. What do you want to do in the housing market going into 2025? Comment below. I'd love to hear more from you. Guys, we'll see you next month, and thanks for watching. Take care.